The best way to explain our system to a new starter or someone who's just joined the business and is not fully aware is the inbound team is run by Tony. Tony was our first AI agent who was initially adopted as the equivalent of an SDR. So someone who would qualify the leads and turn an MQL into a TQL, which was a Tony qualified lead.
TONI in Salesforce has its own queue. It's triggered from Salesforce. As soon as the lead goes in, it goes straight to TONI, and then TONI categorizes the lead. So that's one of the relevance AI tools that we have built. And that categorization has certain logic to it in terms of if it's a small business, if it's a residential, do they have a bill, don't they have a bill, is some information missing, whatnot. And then there's 3 tools that are performed that TONI does, and that's perform a Google search on the prospect, and it finds information that it can from a Google search. It does a LinkedIn enrich on that person, and then also it scrapes the website as well. And then it'll go on to the next step where it validates the prospect information that it has and finds like an ABN. So it gets all that information, and then TONI composes an email, the first email, the tool. And based on the information that TONI has collected, it does an outreach, personalized email with the subject line. And depending on the categorization, TONI might compose an email and ask for the bill to be uploaded, or if there's some missing information, it'll ask for that. If there is a bill already uploaded, CAMI works behind the scenes, and this is comparison CAMI 1.0, and it just runs like a quick high-level comparison on the bill with certain information from that bill. There's also a follow-up email, so a trigger for not contacted 14 days. If the email bounces, and sometimes that happens, so there's a human error, they might put gmail.com.au, or they forget like a letter in the email so that it bounces, and that delegates then to SMS SAMI, and SMS SAMI will then send like an SMS out because we'll get the mobile number as well. So when TONI who's trying to get the bill receives the bill, this is where then TONI passes on the bill to Salesforce SALLI to upload the bill and enrich any of the fields within Salesforce and populate what it needs to. That's pretty much it. The responsibilities for Salesforce SALLI are pretty unique. It's very Salesforce admin related. So we wanted TONI to make sure that it just handles the leads and sends the outreach emails correctly and not do all that other tasks behind the scenes. It got overwhelmed, TONI, so we needed Salesforce SALLI to help TONI out with all the Salesforce related stuff. So update any of the fields, upload the bill, read the bill, change the queue from TONI to actual inbound queue so it gets signed to an agent. Anything that's related to Salesforce, hence the name Salesforce SALLI. SALLI is the specialist. And then we can also have different KPIs if we need to for each of the agents. I think it's good to just have specialist agents, just like if you have a human, you hire someone that's, a specialist in what they do. That's why we kind of created these other agents to kind of help TONI out.
So one of the key areas to enabling our AI agent workforce and TONI in specific was the adoption of 360 reviews for our AI agents. So early on, around 3 months into adoption, what we did was we brought the team that TONI was part of, had a whiteboard session, and what we would run through is TONI's prompt, what's working. Okay, well, this is really great because customers say X, Y, and Z, and it's really helping. And then going through some sort of development areas as you would for any other team member. Okay, well, over the next 3 months, this is what we want to work on. And from that, we had a roadmap. So from those sessions, that's how SMS SAMI was actually formed, from the team saying, okay, well, TONI's emailing customers now. Can we look at SMS communication? So coming out of these sessions with a roadmap of development options and iterations for TONI, and also from my perspective, looking after the sales teams, it really brought the team on the journey as well. I think sometimes tech can be adopted and given to a team in the sense of here's this new tech tool, use it, rather than here's a tech tool, it's part of the team. How can we work together to make sure that it works to its full capability? In the initial induction of TONI, we ran a probation period. So one of the areas where we wanted to make sure that we were fully confident and trusting before we went fully automated was in the email communication. So for the first 4 to 6 week period, we would review TONI's prospective emails to customers so we can iterate the prompt. Because this is customer facing communication, we wanted to make sure this was correct. So we'd run a probation period. And then once we were comfortable that, okay, the agent knows what they're doing, we're comfortable and we can trust what's going on here, set up a few different escalation cases in terms of if the customer emails back twice, okay, well, we want to make sure we can sense check what Tony's going back with. But in that process, then the team member was fully adopted, fully ingrained into the team, and the business manager for that specific team effectively now manages the AI agent as they would any other member of their team. One of the other parts shortly after adoption, due to the volume of tasks, one of the things I found really interesting was that AI agents are like humans. They can get overwhelmed. And because Tony was operating so many tasks, there were sometimes some sort of process flaws because the context was too much. So there lies why we introduced Salesforce SALLI. And it was actually Tony's first direct report 3 months into the role. Tony got SALLI, who carries out all the Salesforce related tasks. So gathers the data, gives it to Tony to then work his magic. Tony then passes that back to SALLI to input back into Salesforce in the correct fields. And we've got plans to expand that even further going forward.